recording live from the International McNeil headquarters. Here is Professor McNeil.
Where are the headquarters located?
In beautiful Baja, Texas.
That's right, don't forget that. That's important. All right, this is the third in the series about scarcity, and it's kind of the payoff one. It deals with rationing, because if something is scarce, then it has to be rationed, and rationing is decided. If there are like 10 people who want it, but there are only 3 available, how do you figure out which 3 get them, and more importantly, which others don't? And the more scarce it is, that is, if there's more wants but the same availability, then the rationing is going to be more difficult. That is, the criteria will be more difficult. So, for instance, if you go online and you see something you want on eBay, how many people want it? Let's say that there are 2 units available. There might be 40 or 50 people who want it. How is it decided which 2 out of the 50 get it? And the answer is by money. They compete. Buyers compete against each other based on money. But is money the only way of rationing? Are there other things that are rationed differently? Absolutely. Like A's in an econ class. Are A's in an econ class freely available to all who want them without any cost or sacrifice? That's the test of a free good. Is there a sacrifice to get it? Is there a cost? Do you have to compete with other people? If you have to compete in any way, or pay money in any way, the good is scarce and it must be rationed. Even toothpicks are scarce and they are rationed because you have to pay money to get them. So, sometimes we stand in line for things, or in an econ class, you have to spend time. If this class required a 43-page term paper due in 4 weeks, that would take more time to complete the class to get what you wanted, 3 units of economics, and it would be more costly. It would chase people away. Favoritism sometimes, pipe-smoking econ majors ration A's in an econ class. That's a way. Performance, 3 laps around the campus, whoever gets there first. Or performance on tests, that's another way of rationing. So students compete with each other for the available A's based on performance on tests. Sadly, they don't pay money to the instructor for them. That would be my favorite way of rationing. Sometimes we ration based on equal division. Sometimes it's a lottery. You draw straws or something. Sometimes it's raw power. Whoever can take it gets it. And sometimes it's sad stories. Whoever can tell the saddest story. A good example of scarce something is shotgun. Shotgun is the front passenger seat in a car. If there are 2 or more children available, then the wants for that seat exceed the availability, and it has to be rationed in some way. And sometimes it's raw power, and sometimes it's a sad story, and sometimes it's equal division. But it's rationed. That's the point. Scarce goods must be rationed according to some criteria. You can use any of these. You can make up your own. Which is best? Impossible to determine. Every one of them has something good and something bad.
Raw power probably works.
You like that because you're big and strong, you can beat up your poor little brother here. But he would say the best way to do it is
sad
stories, because he's really good at that. So, rationing method produces behavior to what it is. So that if, for instance, I rationed A's based on you tell me why you want or need an A more than the next student. What are you guys going to be doing all semester? You guys are going to be taking drama lessons, creative writing lessons, and so forth. Are you going to come to class? No. Buy the book? No. Study your economics? No. Your behavior will change to meet the criteria that will ration the things that you want. If I do performance, 3 laps, you guys are going to be training. If I do raw power, you're going to be over at the Gracie place learning how to pop kneecaps, doing this Brazilian jiu-jitsu stuff. Because however the goods are rationed changes people's behavior. Most goods are rationed based on money. And what's good about that? Does it produce good behavior? Yeah, to a great extent. It gets everybody out of bed in the morning. so that they can go produce something that somebody else will want to buy, exchange with them. So basically, if I want your money, I have to produce something that you like more than your money. So everybody has an incentive to get out of bed in the morning and go produce wealth for themselves and others. That's what's good about it. There are plenty of bad things as well. How to make something less scarce. Well, in the last video we saw, to make something less scarce, you either make it more available or less wanted. Either of those will change that relationship between wants and availability and make it less scarce on the scarsometer. But how not to make something less scarce? You do not pass a law that says you can only sell it at a lower price. Because when we look at types of costs, price is one type of cost, but there are lots of other sacrifices that people make, like lying, like standing in line, like competing with each other, etc. These are all costs, and every one of these rationing methods produces some kind of cost. So if you pass a law that reduces the price of a good, you're not going to make it less scarce, you're not going to make it less costly, you're not going to make it more available. It will create all sorts of craziness. Here's why. Back in the good old days, there was the gas crisis in the early 80s, and to get gasoline, you had to pay $2, but it turns out that $2 was not the rationing price. It didn't match the number of people willing to pay that $2 with the number of units of gasoline available. At $2, there were still vastly more people wanting the gas than there was gas. So gas stations sold out in 2 hours their quota of gasoline, and so people had to sit in line in front of a gas station for hours before the gas station opened, hoping that they would get up there to the front in time to get gas. If they didn't, they just had to go sit in another line someplace else. They could only buy gas on odd days if their license number was odd, or even days if their license number was even. And finally, people cheated as well. There are all sorts of different ways of cheating. Now, all of these imposed costs. What if you had to pay $4.75 for a gallon of gas? You could buy it at gas station A. Or you could buy gas using this method at gas station B. $2 plus sitting for a couple of hours, plus only on odd and even days, and never on Sunday, as it turns out. Where would most people find it less costly to get their gas? And the answer is, not everyone. It depends on the time costs and how people feel about cheating and so forth. But most people, if they have anything else to do with their life, they will buy gas here. They will find it less costly to obtain. And after a year or two of this, they figured out that it was insane having people sitting in lines. Gas became more scarce, not less, because tankers full of oil were going elsewhere, where they could get more than $2 a gallon for the gas. So it became less available and more scarce and more crazy. And these costs, time, odd and even, cheating, etc., were costs that the seller never received. The buyer had to pay these costs, but the seller never got them. At least if you have to pay $4.75, the seller benefits $4.75 worth when they sell a gallon of gas. And as soon as they got rid of this, within a year, the price of gasoline went from $4.75 back down to about $2. Now I've translated these prices into today's terms. But the reason was that at $4.75 a gallon, everybody wanted to go find gas. And they did. And when they find the gas, they make it less scarce. So anyway, this is about rationing, how to make something, different methods of rationing. Rationing causes behavior to change. We pick a rationing method based on the behavior it produces to a great extent. And if you try and make something less scarce by lowering its price, you end up failing dismally and creating even more costs than before, because other types of costs rise up to take the place of the lower price. Well, that's it. I hope this helps.